Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump to be formally nominated for election as Republican convention gets underway. President and VP Mike Pence to be formally nominated by RNC this morning. And of course, Kellyanne Conway set to leave the White House at the end of the month. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not only historic or, a really wonderful time for President Trump on his way to being elected 2 terms, 8 years, the worst nightmare of Democrats who set him up and framed him. I mean, you have to be a real imbecile to believe that Facebook ads swung the election from Clinton to Trump in 2016 when there's not one article written by a pollster or by the New York Times or Washington Post prior to November 8th, 2016 that said, gosh, those Russian Twitter bots and those Facebook ads or just any social media seems to be flipping the election, especially in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So, and then the Mueller probe vindicated President Trump. Not one person was indicted on anything to do with conspiring with a hostile foreign power that just happened to get 20% of U.S. uranium capacity. Only President Obama could have vetoed that sale, but everything they accused Trump of doing, they're guilty of. It's projection on a monumental scale. He didn't work with Russia. The pandemic is not his fault. Go look at the New York Times and look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The states within this country that have the highest unemployment also have the most lives lost from the pandemic. And God bless the people of New York, New Jersey. New York is the epicenter in the entire world for the pandemic. That's not Trump's fault. That's not President Trump's fault. And it has also the highest unemployment rate, or one of the highest unemployment rates. That's not Trump's fault. You look at New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Massachusetts is a blue state, has a Republican governor, but California, those highest unemployment rate, highest rates of unemployment, and in aggregate, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and a couple other, Massachusetts, a couple other blue states account for around half of all the lives lost in the entire country. Not Trump's fault. But I want to read you this. So, Donald Trump to be formally nominated for election as Republican convention gets underway. He's going to win re-election. It ain't going to be Biden. You watch. Hillary Clinton is going to save the Democratic Party. She'll lose to President Trump, but she could make it close, and she's by far a superior candidate. And I will have made the biggest prediction of all time. Clinton is going to be on that debate stage. He won't be the exhumed body. Just, yesterday he was like, you watch, Mr. President, and then the media's like, oh, Biden claps back. Oh my God, Biden, he really got Trump. Like, what did he say? People, they diss themselves. It's so hilarious. They're like, oh, did you see his speech? Doesn't Trump and don't the Trumplicans and the Trumpists look bad now? Oh, wow, he performed a 20-minute speech where he didn't slur his words and meander off into Never Never Land and talk about his erect leg hairs. Big deal. He called Arizona a city and said that he was running for Senate, and then he said he wanted the cure to be worse than the problem, and then he fumbles over. It's not just a matter of, finding the right words to say. Everything is swept under the rug with Biden. The entire media, all of media is trying desperately to prop this man up. It's like every day is weekend at Biden's. But I wanted to read you something, and it's just really interesting. They don't realize the reason that they're going to lose again and be here on November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, because November 3rd is fast approaching, and we are going to have the best uploads, the best live streams on this channel. Be here every evening at 9 p.m. Pacific. We had 700 people in the evening. So I have the one of the best, if not the best, late evening live stream, especially for politics. The best late evening live stream in all of YouTube. So be here. And also subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. I keep saying it, but I'm going to ramp up the content on that channel as things heat up. But here, I want to read you this 538 article. And my Patreon is below if you want to support my voice long term. Your Patreon support is extremely, extremely important. So just thank you to my new Patreons very, very much. This is an article by 538. Trump, this is August 11, 2015. NPR quoted me in 2015. One of my Huffington Post articles I wrote, I kept writing the same thing in Salon, The Hill. I was a contributor to The Hill and the Huffington Post, and I kept saying, Hillary's going to lose. Clinton's going to lose to Trump. She will lose the election. I predicted the 2016 election, and NPR quoted me, but within the paragraph, it's below in the pinned comment, they also quoted Nate Silver at 538. He wrote this article, Donald Trump is winning the polls and losing the nomination. I'm not bringing this up to say, oh my God, he was wrong. Nobody's perfect. And, he's Chuck Schumer and Stacey Abrams quote 538. Every donation will be triple matched. 538 in the Cook Report. So he's quoted by Senate Democrats to show that they're doing well. Anyway, this is a very, very renowned, accomplished polling expert. And if you just look at what he wrote, it's really interesting. It's really interesting because in 2015, and this I'm reading this to show you that Democrats, and he's a liberal Democrat, don't understand. Even the polling experts have zero clue why anyone's voting for President Trump. People are voting for President Trump to reverse U.S. foreign policy, which is what he's doing, to address the trade imbalance with China. We had record low unemployment nationally before the pandemic. Not Trump's fault. Pandemic's not Trump's fault. You had New York's Governor Cuomo stating that the risk remains low for the people of New York on March 1st. There's no need for undue anxiety. How Democrats get away with this, it's just unbelievable. But here, people are voting for President Trump because he goes up against corrupt intelligence officials, because he wants to reverse U.S. foreign policy, because he's known as an economy that does well for the economy, as a president that does well for the economy. But here, Donald Trump is winning the polls and losing the nomination. I wanted to read you this. And then he tweets out, this is on August 9th, 2015, media, Trump's doing great, nerds. No, those polls don't mean what you think. Media, a new poll shows Trump doing great. Proved you wrong. See, again, it's the kind of snarky attitude that people on the left have. It's they don't understand why anyone's voting for President Trump. They have no clue. And so the Republican convention is going to be different from the Democratic convention, because even people on the left, especially the far left, looked at the DNC convention with scorn and with contempt. The Democrats are not only fractured, but the youngest voting base, or I should say the voting base to the left of the I'm With Her crowd, they were mocking and denigrating the convention. That won't be the case with conservatives or Trump supporters or people who just, people who just haven't decided yet. That won't be the case. The Lincoln Project people are not the Republican Party. They're the outcasts, and rightfully so, thank God, of the Republican Party. They were kicked out of the Republican Party because people voting for President Trump don't want never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. But here, I'm reading this here. So the lead up to this, don't worry, it's worth it. Here, at 538, however, we're fairly agnostic about what will happen to Trump's polling in the near term. It's possible that he's already peaked, or that he'll hold his support all the way through Iowa and New Hampshire, possibly even winning one or two early states, as similar candidates like Pat Buchanan and Newt Gingrich have in the past. Our emphatic prediction is simply that Trump will not win the nomination. It's not even clear that he's trying to do so. I'm not reading this to disparage Nate Silver or 538. I'm reading this to prove the point that even polling experts on the left, people, Democrats, liberals, they have zero clue why people would vote for Trump. They had no clue in 2015, and he crushed the nomination. It wasn't even difficult for him in 2015. But they have no clue, and they don't care. They still view Trump as this traveling circus monstrosity, this anomaly. He is the embodiment of their worst nightmares. They can't stand his personality. They don't understand why anyone would vote for Trump. And the problem with the Democratic Party, we can go ahead and, if you look, RNC 2020 Day 1, President Trump to be formally nominated by delegates. If you look at the Republican primary results, which is why Professor Helmut Norpoth of Stony Brook, who predicted the 2016 election, says that President Trump's going to win because of his primary domination. So obviously he's the incumbent. Bill Weld got one delegate. Okay, this is one delegate Weld. Trump got 2,395 delegates. I guess there were 2,396, and he got virtually every delegate but one. He crushed he has a 91 to 96% approval rating within the Republican Party at all times. He has historic approval ratings. And then they want to, that's a lie. He only has an 88 to 89% approval rating. So what? That's still the same or better than Reagan. And Reagan is seen as like one of the great Republican presidents. Okay? And judging by his foreign policy, I think the people of Libya would say that Reagan was a much better president than President Obama, who destroyed a country with his failed NATO intervention. But let's just continue. The Democratic nomination, people voted in the rain against Medicare for All. Okay, this is important to understand. And this is something that, so not only did the best, most esteemed polling experts get Trump winning wrong in 2015, I got it right, NPR quoted me, but in Wisconsin, a liberal state, they had a chance to vote for Medicare for All. They had a chance to nominate Bernie Sanders, even if it just wasn't, they say Biden at that point had it wrapped up, whatever. The whole thing's a charade anyway, but people believe it on the left still, even though Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign and they cheated Bernie Sanders in Iowa. Of course, don't tell Bernie this. He doesn't fight. He doesn't care. He's part of the charade also. But Biden has 2,687 delegates. Eventually, Clinton will she'll be on that debate stage. She'll be the nominee eventually. The Zoom meeting nomination where he spoke for 20 minutes and everyone was like, oh my God, it's so good. Oh, we're so proud of you. Anyway, that'll be the biggest political prediction of all time. But here, Biden, and Bernie Sanders, 1,073 delegates. He would have done a lot better in the South had he won Iowa, because he would have won Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada. And Biden would have gotten, a fourth, a fifth, and then a second place finish, and he would have been knocked out. So they know what they're doing in terms of an app that just miraculously didn't work. Of course, it was a coincidence. But just, you look at the enthusiasm for Biden, there is no enthusiasm for Biden. People voted, and there's no enthusiasm for Biden. The only enthusiasm they have, or the only passionate base of support they have, is for Bernie Sanders still. But the Democratic Party voted against Medicare for All in Wisconsin, in Florida, in Arizona, and in Illinois. In Wisconsin, people were getting pelted by hail, and they were in a rainstorm. And they were getting drenched, waiting in line. Where were the all mail-in ballots then? Oh, that's right. They're hypocrites. The Democrats are the biggest hypocrites on the planet. The only thing they know how to do is be outraged. And they're not even good at that because they're so hypocritical, it's unbelievable. They say, oh, mail-in ballots. Oh, my God. Well, where were the mail-in ballots in Arizona, Illinois, Florida, and then Wisconsin in April? You had February, you had March and April. During the pandemic, before the curve was flattened, people in long lines, hundreds of thousands of people voting in long lines. I guess that was okay then, but it's not okay in the presidential election on November 3rd. And then we can go on forever with the hypocrisy. They want to do away with the Electoral College. Their own primary system has state primaries. And that was the only way. If it was a popular vote thing from the get-go, Bernie would have run away with it. But the Democratic Party doesn't want what Bernie Sanders voters want. They should all join the Green Party. But what do I care what happens on the left? The left is the most dysfunctional, deceitful, dishonest, unhealthy place to be in politics. It's like, it's the worst place to be. Because you have people with a morality fetish. They don't really care about morality. The liberals don't. The great many progressives don't. They care about just fitting in. Well, it's the I'm with her crowd who really controls everything. And you'll see the I'm with her crowd come out when Clinton becomes nominee eventually. They're not going to go with Biden. That very likely that was to just ensure there wouldn't be an even greater rebellion or problems with the Bernie delegates that didn't. There's no way that they would have allowed AOC to nominate Bernie Sanders. You just watch. Clinton becomes eventually the nominee. It could be not from a calamity, like I said. It's just a meeting. Tom Perez holds a meeting, says, look, you know what? Clinton is a far superior candidate. She does better. She does better in the polls. Or at least she has far greater support among the Latino and Black voters of this country because she has greater support than Biden does. Clinton lost to Trump, and they're going with Biden, who has less support among the two most important demographics in the Democratic Party. I don't think so. Anyway, the whole thing's a political machine anyway. But anyway, the point, ladies and gentlemen, is the following. The RNC, the Republican convention, is going to be something that all Trump supporters either enjoy, either they like the convention, or they might not care that much, but it'll be something that they find interesting. They won't be looking at it with scorn. They won't be looking at it as like the most cringeworthy thing of all time, which is how the left looks at their political party. And that's the big difference. People want to vote for President Trump. That's like he's when he's nominated formally today. It's going to be a beautiful thing because it'll be a message to corrupt intelligence officials, to Hollywood, to a manic, maniacal, apoplectic, seething, fuming, hysterical press and media, to a cheating Democratic Party. It'll be a message to everyone saying you couldn't knock this man out. You couldn't set him up and frame him. You couldn't, spread lies about him or subtext or, dog whistling or nuance or this is what he really meant. You couldn't manipulate every single story and turn everything about Trump into the most hysterical propaganda spin. It's a message saying that democracy does work. If democracy didn't work, you wouldn't have President Trump. And as the Democrats are hilarious, they cheated Bernie Sanders, then they said Russia stole our democracy. They're the ones who cheat all the time, and they have the audacity to talk about democracy. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Pretty awesome day. President Trump formally nominated, and I think that here's another reason why Trump will win. The fact that the Lincoln Project, former Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld people who got us into never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts, the fact that they don't like Trump and that Trump is reversing their foreign policy and President Obama's foreign policy is exactly why Trump's going to win. Give me your thoughts below. Be here at 9 p.m. Pacific. for the live stream to talk about the Republican convention on this channel, and subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. The link is below. Thank you so very much. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below.